Hello and welcome to today's video as we cover the two series that took place this morning in Tier 1 and Belleville Esports, as well as some other news to fill the video. So, first we have LCP, GAM, and SoftBank Hawks. I thought GAM would win this one. On paper, Kiai is obviously somebody that I would take over Evie, but the mid-jungle duo was a big difference in this one. Arrest led the way for GAM, and even hell, the bot lane duo of Artemis Taki left a lot to be desired. So the Hawks swept them. The Japanese team moves on. Marble, 22 and 15. Arya, 27% of the team's damage. Van 1, 84% kill participation. Arrest led in all three categories for GAM, with a solo kill going 10, 8, 12, 26% of damage, 71 kill participation. The Hawks took all five Barons, averaging about 3,596 gold, and then 9 of 14 Drakes. Games 1 and 2 were close. Game 2 especially. But Game 3 was a blowout. It was definitely one-sided. The GAM had enough, and the Hawks came out firing on all cylinders. And 22 and 15, obviously the AD carry did his job at a high level for the Hawks. Now, in DNS and BFX, back and forth. Very back and forth. Very, very competitive best of 5 that went all 5 games, went the distance. BFX winning 3-2. Kellen had a solo kill going 10, 11, 56. Diable, 28% of the team's damage. Raptor had 2 solo kills, 80 kill participation. For DNS, Pioshik went 11, 12, 39. Dudu, 2 solo kills, 29% of damage. Dudu played very well in this series in the loss. Probably the best player for DNS. Peter had a solo kill, 68% kill participation. Just some insight on how all over the place the team was. Closer also may had 3 or 4 solo kills, but not as much damage as Dudu. Drakes, BFX took 11 of 21, very close, but they did take 4 of 5 Barons. The one Baron DNS took occurred in Game 1, 6,100 gold. Very, very good Baron to end the game. BFX averaged 3,700 gold a Baron, ending a couple games with them and doing it at a high level. BFX, a team that I had ranked in the top 12 in the LCK LPL power rankings. A team with a bright future in the bot lane with Diable, certainly. Growth is occurring every day. Vikla did not play terrible today, and that ended up getting them a victory. Now, some other news. We see Los Ratones. We'll talk about that. Pretty much say it's done, right? They did their LEC split. They didn't make playoffs. Based on the rules, they didn't make playoffs. And calling it quits. The project's over. And it's unfortunate. A lot of people are like, oh, well, this is like... They're almost making it seem like, oh, the LEC should have, like, really just forced it for the sake of viewership. And I'm not about... in the end, it comes down to a conversation about entertainment value versus competitive integrity. And, a lot of people are like, yeah, well, there goes all the viewership. I'm not watching LEC, this and that. And it's like, okay, well, whatever. From my perspective, I want the best teams and best players to play. Does that mean that Los Ratones were not a top 10 team in Europe outright? Not necessarily. They may have been a top 10 team in Europe outright. But they're not, returning to Tier 2 as things were meant to be, even going into Versus. Always, it was the team is going to go from Tier 1 back down to Tier 2. That was what was going to happen. So, this notion does not come as a surprise that they were not going to be in Tier 1 in spring. But let alone, calling it quits is what it is. I mean, Cadril did a great job. He's a grinder. There's no doubt about it, from one grinder to another. He gets after it at a high level. I think I was even talking to Dagda when I was in Munich about just the comparison I see between him and like an Optic Hex sort of deal, about just a grinder that sets an example and the players follow with content at a high level. And of course, he did get guys like Baus, like Nemesis, that streamed a shit ton. And we're pretty much streamers. I mean, Baus obviously the whole time, and Nemesis pro-turned streamer. And people that had built a brand for themselves. And this goes to show, and I've said it multiple times, that teams need to build brands and force players to build brands. And players should be thinking about their brand and developing themselves as being a marketable piece for a team so a team can get sponsors. I mean, it's not rocket science. That's the reason why Los Ratones had so much success and so much fandom, was because there was some charisma on the team. The team had personality. And that doesn't necessarily mean because it was 5 Europeans that it had personality. It's just it had personality. You knew about the players. You knew their story. You knew how they vibed together. The content was just coming out at an incredible rate, an incredible clip. And that was by design because the owner works his ass off. Cadrell works his ass off. There's no doubt about it. And I respect him for that. And shook his hand, and is his thing. You respect him for what he's done. Does that mean that I'm going to be biased when I talk about Los Ratones? No, I never was going to do that, and I don't think he would have expected me to. So that's a thing. Now, the fans, obviously, this may be good for LL Esports in general. A lot of fans were very boisterous, and of course, you have the good fans, which is usually the majority, say, oh, well, you shouldn't say all fans. No, I'm not, if you don't call it out, then you're complicit. So if you see it and you don't call it out, you're complicit. That's how that works, as far as I'm concerned. So, I don't know. It's tough. It really is tough. Now, as far as what's going to happen in the future, I mean, we'll see. Some people think, oh, is somebody going to sign this 5-man roster for the LEC? They could. I doubt it. I really think Baus probably isn't going to play again. He probably got a taste of what, he did it last year, but then also, this is the LEC now, and it was probably a much more serious environment, and it wasn't as fun because of it. And maybe the pressure didn't help. And the thing is, with a ton of fans comes a lot of pressure from both sides, good and bad. And I'm sure that played a role in this. You hope Veja has an opportunity to revitalize his career and maybe get a chance in the LEC again. Reckless, is this the end? I don't know. Nemesis, is this the end? I mean, from what, the rumors were, he didn't want to take opportunities on shit teams in the LEC, so that's why he was streaming the last year or so before Los Ratones. If that's the case, then, he's choosing to be unemployed at that point. As far as an LEC position is concerned. And not necessarily because the LEC is keeping him out, but because he doesn't want to play in the LEC and a team that he doesn't want to play on, which are two very different things. So, we'll see what happens with that. But Cadrell had a good run. He worked his ass off. We'll see what he does next. Hopefully he takes a break in terms of just the rapid pace of things and just kind of looks back at what he did and looks back at it with a smile on his face because he did a great job. Did a great job, and it's a shame it came to the end in this manner. So, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.